Gambian police have dropped all charges against human rights activist Madi Jawade thanks to the intervention of the Human Rights Commission. And Ethiopia has launched an online transportation payment system to contain the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. This and more coming on the world today. Many thanks for joining us, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Africa TV. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in detail. Now, human rights activist Madi Jawade has been relieved of the charges of false publication and broadcasting levied against him following his comment on the lack of justice for Gambian killed in the hands of security forces. He told the media that the government did not conduct any investigation on the death of Haruna Jatta, Usman Dabo, and Keba Sise, whose deaths were associated with the police. The Inspector General of Police announced the drop in charges following several calls from Gambians and at home and abroad on the government to consider the rights of the activists. And from that, next we head to the U.S., where supporters of the Black Lives Matter movement and the mayor of California have amplified the call against racism by painting on the front of President Trump's tower. There has been a widespread condemnation against racism since the killing of George Floyd by an American white police officer in the U.S. Details of that in this report by Sona Tunkara.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio led a campaign to have Black Lives Matter on the streets. Other Black Lives Matter enthusiasts took turns to paint in front of the Trump Tower, bright and giant yellow slogan of Black Lives Matter. President of Black Lives Matter movement, Brooklyn Anthony, expressed dissatisfaction with President Trump, calling his ruling a replica of leaders.
We've seen exactly everything that he's done. We've heard all his words. We've seen his own symbolism as well too. That replicates the actions of Hitler and every single tyrant before the hand who have oppressed, brutalized, and sanctioned the brutalization of people, especially black and brown people. Now we're letting him know that we're at his doorstep, that we will not bow down, we will not surrender to the likes of his kind. We're going to make sure that we move forward, and we're going to show that the people are the ones with the power.
The Fifth Avenue Street was in total lockdown for some hours amid the painting process causing traffic disruption. Susan, a witness who raised concern over the alleged fundraising scandal of Mayor Blasio during his 2013 campaign, and that the support to the Black Lives Movement is just a clear indication of his hatred for President Trump.
I know the history, but this mayor is promoting division and hatred, and he did this because he hates the president. People pay a lot of money. It's actually not legal to do that, but we have a mayor who doesn't do me, the African American community. He lets them rot on the street. He's done nothing to help them. And actually, as a taxpayer of New York, I want to know, where's the $850 million that turned up missing? And why do you and I, taxpayers of New York, have to pay his $125.7 legal fees that he got approved that you and I are paying? He's destroyed this city. He's no good, and he needs to be removed. That's my take.
Many of Susan's kinds are sidelined as racist, supporting the brutal torture of blacks in America. An actress and recording artist, however, said the movement is set to constantly send a reminder that all souls matter.
So we know that all lives matter. We already know that. But the problem is our lives, specifically people that look like me, black and brown people, it kind of gets looked over. So, it's just a constant reminder to let people know that Black Lives Matter, and don't forget.
The New York mayor, who also disagrees with Trump, tweeted that the city is committed to the meaning of the change, which is more than just painting the streets. Black Lives Matter campaign that sparked protests throughout the U.S. and around the globe over the death of an African-American George Floyd in the hands of a white police. For iAfrica TV, Sohna Tunkara.
The Black Lives Matter movement, of course, in the U.S. continue to condemn racism. like many others around the world. And from that report, we come back home because a former military presidential convoy driver who testified before the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparation Commission on Thursday urges the commission to look at the matter of the civilians and soldiers that has died due to the attack at Farafenni and Katong and roads accident that kills 2 people at the same time. Aisha Tamba has more in this report.
Former presidential driver who admitted before the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission that the shooting and killing of innocent road users during the movement of the presidential convoy was an act of negligence observed to check in the second side of the coin. By the end of his testimony on Thursday, Lamin Silla noted that the TRRC being there in the interest of every Gambian, it should look into cases of attack on men in uniform. The commission was instituted in July 2017 to investigate human rights violations committed from 1994 to 2017, precisely under the government of the former President Jammeh. He noted that attack on the Farafenni military barracks, allegedly by a rebel group, and another attack at the border in Katong, where a soldier was killed in line of duty, should all be fortunate in the TRRC public hearing.
But like what happened in Farafenni, that is the Farafenni, the Katong attack. That one, the rebels came into the camp. They slaughtered soldiers like chickens. Because that day in Kawur, with the 2 dead bodies there were 2 dead bodies from the same compound. Sidibe. That was Sidibe, Keta, Kameleva, and Kambeleva. I have never heard anybody at the TRRC talk about those people.
In his view, justice is still pending, equally for the lives of civilians who were killed along with the soldiers as a result of attacks from the borderlines.
You come to Katong, there was an attack there too. The soldier that was killed there was from He was from New Union here. And the families, they are suffering from that pain. And I have not heard the TRRC talk about that issue. You come to Nyasi. We came from the state banquet. He was knocked by a semester at the Hilton around Koto. I think he came from either Sweden or Norway.
The witness, in what appears as military right advocacy, called the attention of the TRRC to look into the incident of the night of 30th December 2014, when gunfires erupted in the country's capital of Banjul. He pointed out that the former head of investigation of the commission was involved in the attack, in which lives were lost, urging for a fair play in the work of the commission.
And TRRC itself, one of your staff members who used to be with you here, he was a part of the 30th December attackers. When they came to Union Barracks, he told me, I said to him, you are lucky. If you had gone inside and you were shot by a bullet, you would not have been here this day talking about it.
The appearance of Lamin Silla was in line with the TRRC's mandate to document evidence of unlawful attacks against the road users by the movement of the former President Jammeh's motorcade. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Aissatou Tamba.
Lamin Silla there completing the line of witnesses for the week as the TRRC takes its usual weekend break before resuming on Monday. Now, with that, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining update stories. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Here are 5 ways you can help combat stigma and discrimination as we fight against coronavirus COVID-19. 1. Educate your friends and family that COVID-19 is not specific to any race, nationality, or skin color. 2. Do not associate migrants with the virus. In many contexts, migrants are healthy and key players in nation building. 3. Remind others that discrimination may lead people to hide their symptoms rather than seek treatment. This puts everyone else at risk. 4. Be kind, considerate, and helpful to others in these difficult times. 5. If you know anyone experiencing symptoms, encourage them to dial 1025 for free.
Welcome back, and you're watching the World Today News Bulletin on iAfrica TV. And now to the rest of the stories. Now, the 2019 Global Health Security Index ranked the Gambia 117 among 195 countries globally and 19 among 54 in Africa who are more prepared to manage infectious diseases outbreak. This ranking is featured in the 166-page report by Africa Development Bank in its 2020 edition of Africa Economic Outlook. Here's more details of that in this report.
Gambia has been ranked 117 among 195 countries globally and 19 among 54 in Africa on the preparedness to manage infectious disease outbreaks. The 2019 Global Health Security Index assess the country's health system amidst the coronavirus global pandemic. The report further indicated that a major strength of the health system is capacity for early detection and response to epidemics, but the capacity to treat the sick and protect health workers remains weak. This, according to the report, is due to the shortage of medical staff, lack of equipment and consumables for the laboratories. On the macroeconomic prospects, the report stated that the real GDP growth for 2020 has been revised from 5.2% to 1.9% if the outbreaks close by July. It highlights an eventual rebound of 5.9% likely in 2021, driven by foreign finance public infrastructure ahead of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation Summit scheduled for 2022. Tourism being the hardest hit by the COVID-19, with arrivals set to decline by 28% from 2019. A revenue loss of $120 million has been recorded and 20,000 jobs. According to the projections, there is an expected decline in remittances from Gambians working in the hardest hit Western Europe and the United States, which account for 15.3% of the GDP. This will disproportionately affect vulnerable groups, with a negative impact on overall food security, poverty, and income inequality. Inflation is expected to rise above 7.2%, compared with 4.8% as previously projected, due to the easing of the monetary policy and the closing of borders. The current account deficit is projected at 12% of the GDP in 2020, wider than the 10% as previously forecasted. The fiscal deficit will widen by 3% of the GDP in 2020 in the baseline scenario, against 2.8% initially planned, and it will be mostly financed through budget support, loans and grants. For iAfrica News, I am Juldenjai Suare.
And from the report, they are filed in by Juldin Jais, who are finally with Ethiopia, via parts of efforts in preventing the spread of the coronavirus global pandemic. Ethiopia has launched an online transport payment system to improve service efficiency. Ethiopia has more than 6,000 confirmed cases of the COVID-19, with 120 deaths and over 2,000 recoveries. Here's more details of that in this report.
Thanks to the newly introduced transport fee payment system, passengers in Ethiopia can now book tickets from their smartphones without physically availing themselves at bus terminals, as has been the case before.
It's not an option.
Ethiopia's Transport Minister Dagmoit Moges says the new digital payment system will increase efficiency in delivery of transport services in the country.
By implementing this digital system in the transport system, the first thing that we need to, or that we aspire to attain, is efficiency in the service provision. We want to save the time of our youth, our public. They don't need to come to a place where we sell tickets for transportation system. We want them to buy it when and where they are and whenever they want it. So we must be able to make sure that we need to avail it at the right time, even in their cell phones. So they can make a payment, they can make their tickets based on the online payment that they're going to make.
The minister also says the new online payment system will play a key role in helping the country's effort of controlling the spread of the coronavirus.
There is also a driving force that is pushing us towards this. The first reason is the COVID-19 pandemic. As we all know, the spread of this COVID-19 pandemic is by itself taken as a great opportunity to deep dive into the electronic services. And as most of our transport services, especially those involving public transit, made passengers vulnerable to the contact of COVID-19, which clearly urges to bring innovative solutions to reduce the spread of the pandemic.
Ethiopia's new online transport payment is said to have also provide 26 types of services, including vehicle import payment. Africa's second most populous nation is in the midst of a digital transformation. All government ministries are mandated to prepare a digital strategy in order to provide electronic services to the public.
The reason behind that speed up electronic service desire in Ethiopia is the first could be the rapid economic and social change that we are observing in our country. A recent increase of telecom or internet penetration among the general public is also the other reason. And also the increasing desire among the public to digital service is increasing from time to time. And as a government, we are responsible to provide a response to the request that is being raised from the public that we serve.
Still, many critics say the current internet blackout in the country could affect this scheme adversely and advise Ethiopia to avoid repetitive internet service cuts for much better results on its digital plans.
Countries around the world continues to devise means or to contain the spread of the COVID-19 global pandemic. And from that report in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, we will now finally bring this news bulletin to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, you can log on our website on africa.tv. Well, once again, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Stay safe. Thanks for watching and bye for now.
bunda lulolti isi fa mako no fo isi tanka kaja fo ning fatan fansola pour que ñing corona jangaro kele bunda folo ela ka fuñol ni la dimbayal kala mutandi ko ñing corona jangaro bu ka jibe e musi jumalati warante ibada banku jumaleto walla ibaro la kuloro mu kurola jumalati bunda fulanjang ikanaje ko tamalal dam male ka tan ñing corona jangaro soto fanna jama ya itandi le ko ñin tamalal jama jaato kende yatale andum ka kataku jamale ke banku do ko kono bunda sabanjam mol hakilo bulandi ko ño kajafo ning fatam fanso satin nanni nole fan fo modol sila kurango mabo puli kanata jaarorola andum ñin si mobe dundi no mantoro konole bunda nani njam al nga bala fa ñoye nga ñoma koy bunda lulu njam niye molo meye ateñin corona kurang la mandar go soto afoye 1025 commande andum ite fen jola